for many people, we don't think we need to seek forgiveness from anybody because it was just a choice we made. And we don't really think that we have offended anybody. And it was our decision, and we hold fast to that, and we're going to just hold on to it for as long as we can. But if we come to the place where we realize that having had an abortion in our past affects where we are today, and we want to take a look at why, we have to face the fact that we have sinned against a holy God by taking the life of an unborn child. Whatever the circumstances are, whatever the situations were, we made a decision about taking the life of an unborn child. And that's not our job. The Bible tells us, thou shalt not kill. Again, talking about the innocent. That child was innocent. Some people think about abortion as a self-defense. I did it in self-defense. I can't have what I want unless this child goes away. So they do it in self-defense. So they don't think that they have to ask forgiveness from anybody. But if you come to the place where it's bothering you, we need to look at why are we sad? Why are we feeling depressed? Why are we feeling suicidal? Why are we, involved in all of these other things that come as an aftermath of abortion? We're involved in those things because there is a sin against a holy God that needs to be confessed. And the Bible is very clear that anybody can come to him and ask for forgiveness of their sin. And I look at myself and I realize that I was a haughty and a proud and a selfish person, and that I needed salvation from my sins, not only for the abortion sin, but I needed salvation in general, because I was a sinner and I was separated from God because I was created in the image of Adam, right? So my sin was because I was in Adam, but my sin of abortion was a very specific sin, and I needed to ask God to forgive me for that because I had violated his law. Many people say, well, I should ask forgiveness from the baby. And there's two things that people get wrong about that. One is to ask forgiveness for the child. Forgiveness from the child isn't necessary. James 1:12 tells us that there's only one judge, and that is God. Scripture also tells us that we're not to communicate with the dead. And when a child is aborted, the child is dead. You can't communicate with that child. What we're looking for is we're looking for some kind of relief. We're looking for some kind of I'm sorry to be received by the person we violated. And the person we violated is God. So the forgiveness needs to be sought from the Lord. And in order to deal with the issue of the baby, what happens when we have an abortion is we've had to dehumanize that child. We've had to say it's not human. Or if we thought it was human, we had to repress the idea that it was human in order to do what we did. So one thing when someone is coming to me and saying, I want to ask forgiveness from my child, I say, well, let's focus on God instead, asking for his forgiveness, and then let's work on rehumanizing that child, acknowledging the fact that that child was a human being created in God's image, as Psalm 139 tells us, that you were created and knit together in your mother's womb, and that God knew about this child before it was placed there. So rehumanizing that baby and acknowledging the fact that that was a human being who died. We can help in dealing with that by maybe having a memorial service to remember that child's life, maybe planting a tree, maybe doing a little memorial marker somewhere. Some people will get a piece of jewelry, something to remember, to rehumanize that child, to take away the lie that that child was just a blob of tissue. It honors that child's life, but forgiveness from the child is not necessary. Another piece of helping someone who's dealing with trying to find who to forgive or where to place that, how to work through it, is we're helping her with grief assistance, because really having an abortion, you dehumanize the child. You don't grieve for a blob of tissue. You grieve for a person. And what we're really helping her with is a grief assistance. So we're going back and taking her through a grief process. And we're saying to her, it's all right to grieve for your child. It's all right to grieve for this human being that was lost. So really what you're doing when you're helping with post-abortion is you're helping with grief assistance.